Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, September 27, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems, that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know that that's been like you recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the US National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that we now have post-tropical cyclone Helene definitely made landfall and pushed far inland in the United States. We can see that we have Hurricane Isaac. Yesterday it was a tropical storm, now it has been upgraded. And we can see that we have a newly developed tropical storm Joyce right here across the northern portion of the main development region. And if we take a look at the visible satellite image, by the way, before we even take a look at the visible satellite images, we have these areas that we're still watching. That area across the main development region that has a code orange, or a 40% chance of development within the next 7 days as it treks towards the northwest. And that area right there to the west of Jamaica that has a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. And if we look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can actually make out all of these entities. The clouds associated with post-tropical cyclone Helene right there across the central portion of the United States, spinning away, bringing cloud showers and thunderstorms to the area. We can also see the clouds associated with that hurricane right there, Isaac, spinning away and pushing eastward. We can see the clouds associated with Joyce right here, and we can also see the clouds associated with the system that has a medium percent chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. And we can also see the clouds associated with that tropical wave across the central to the eastern Caribbean that's going to be having a chance of development when it gets into the western Caribbean right there. Let us focus our attention on what's happening regarding Helene now. So it's a post-tropical cyclone, so it's no longer a tropical cyclone, no longer a depression or storm or hurricane. It was once, now it is no longer. Definitely moved quickly into the central portion of the US, across portion of Kentucky in the United States as we speak, packing maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour right now, moving towards the northwest at 17 miles per hour. It definitely did a number on the United States in general. And if we take a look at the track that it took, we definitely saw it coming out of the Caribbean, pushing northwestward, then pushing northeastward into the Florida Panhandle, where it made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. And it definitely did a lot of damage, storm surge, flooding, and as of the latest update from NBC News, updated 12 minutes ago, a bit more than that now, they've stated that at least 42 persons have died because of Helene in general. Hopefully this number doesn't rise. We know how these things go. This is what we don't like to see. Yes, we'll take the rainfall to cool down the temperatures, but that's just about it. All of this, the damage, the death and destruction, that's not what we want at all, which is why we here in Jamaica, we prefer the tropical waves more than anything else. We don't want any storms, we don't want any depressions, hurricanes, anything like that. Just something tropical wave like at the bottom of the scale to bring some rainfall. If we take a look here at Hurricane Isaac, he's packing maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour. He's moving towards the east at 16 miles per hour. We see that he's expected to remain an H, that's a hurricane, and then by Monday he should be downgrading back to a tropical storm in the S right there. He's packing maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour as we speak, which makes him a Category 1 hurricane right here, somewhere in the middle. So a medium category 1 hurricane, not a high-end category 1 or a low-end category 1, right there in the middle if it's an 85 mile per hour hurricane. And then if we switch over and look at what the hurricane center is saying about Joyce right here, look at Joyce. Joyce is packing maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, and she is moving towards the northwest at 13 miles per hour, where she's expected to downgrade back to a tropical depression in the D right there. So it's definitely going to be a fish storm, just like Isaac. But regarding the other systems, let us read quickly about this code orange. A broad and elongated area of low pressure associated with a tropical wave is producing limited shower activity near and to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development of this system, and a tropical depression could form next week while moving toward the west and then northwest at about 10 miles per hour across the eastern and central tropical Atlantic. And we see that they've given it a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours, that's the next 2 days, and a 40% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. But our main focus is on this system because this one is developing basically in the same spot that we had Helene a week ago. And we realized how much rainfall this system was giving us, even although it was right down there close to Central America. So who knows, we might just get something similar. We have to be on the alert, we have to be on our P's and Q's. We're definitely still in hurricane season, so we have to be paying attention. Alright, so let's zoom in to see exactly what the hurricane center is saying. We really need to see this one. An area of low pressure could form over the western Caribbean Sea by the middle of next week. Environmental conditions are expected to be conducive for slow development thereafter, while the system moves generally northwestward, likely entering the Gulf of Mexico by the end of next week. And we see that they've given it a 0% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours and a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. And we see that it's definitely tilted to the northwest, so it's going to be moving in that direction. That doesn't mean we can't get some of the clouds spilling into portions of Jamaica. We have to stay alert to see exactly what unfolds, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. And we're still watching what the supercomputer models are showing. Firstly, we're going to be looking at the Euro model, just going on to the next 168 hours, and we're going to be following the moisture from the eastern to the western Caribbean. We already see the moisture right here across portions of the central to the eastern Caribbean, and we just saw it on the on the satellite images right there earlier. Definitely a lot of clouds associated with this system. As a matter of fact, let's look back at the satellite images. We can definitely see the clouds stretching all the way from the eastern to the central Caribbean. And we're definitely going to be getting in on that rainfall starting tomorrow. Could be heavy at times in some spots. Who knows, maybe some isolated flash flooding could take place, especially considering that the ground is already saturated from what we just endured with Helene's outer bands, or that trough that Helene has induced across the island. So flooding is definitely going to be easy, so watch out, especially if you're living in those areas that were recently flooded, or if you're living in flood prone areas in general. So let's go. Firstly, focus your attention on the timestamp right here. Just the next 168 hours, that's the next 7 days, just like what the Hurricane Center would do. And we're going to be looking for this, the greens. That represents the moisture all the way up into the yellows. So let's go out in time. So we can see right here that as early as 12Z on Saturday, which is actually 7 a.m., we start to see more of the moisture coming into especially eastern parishes in Jamaica. Then by 18Z, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday, we see more of the moisture across portions of most parishes. Then by 21Z on Saturday, which is actually at 4 p.m., we see a lot more of the moisture across the island in general, even some dots of yellows in there. Even by Sunday, we still have a lot of moisture across the island. This is why I said ensure that you get that laundry done from Saturday, because the rainfall is going to be coming into the island on Saturday, Sunday, and even if we go into Monday, we still see a lot more rainfall. Look at those dark greens, even some dots of yellows in there. As we continue to go in time, we still have some rainfall to endure on Tuesday as well, and even into Wednesday. So we see that by 0Z on Thursday, which is actually 7 p.m. on Wednesday, it's starting to die down with more of the moisture right there across the western Caribbean closer to Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula to the north of Honduras. If we take a look at what the GFS is showing for the same time period, as we go out in time, 18th on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday, we see the moisture starting to come into portion of Jamaica, just like what the Euro was showing. By 0Z on Sunday, which is actually 7 p.m. on Saturday, we see most of the moisture across the island, even some yellows in there, especially across the southwest, if you can see that closely. Sunday, still more moisture. Monday, even more moisture across the island. Tuesday, rainfall still. We see some isobars right here to the southwest of Jamaica, maybe indicating maybe an area of low pressure starting to form. There we go. Here we have the L that represents the area of low pressure. We see the darkest or deepest convection, the darker greens, and even some yellows and oranges in there to the southwest of the island. If you remember recent model forecast, this system was closer to Jamaica. Now we see that it has backed off, pushing closer to Central America in general. Either way, we see that it definitely pushes northwestward across the Yucatan, maybe the coastal areas of the Yucatan Peninsula. Then by the end of the 168 hours, it's right there across the Gulf of Mexico. Let's finish this on the Euro. Right there on the Euro, it definitely closer to Texas in general. Right here on the GFS, it's right there in smack dab in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. So we see some differences, we see some similarities. We have to pay close attention, and either way, regardless of development, we know how these things go. We're in for a lot of rainfall, and we see that the Euro model is starting to cave to what the GFS was showing yesterday with more purples across the island. We start to see the purples represent up to 3 inches of rainfall. Keep in mind that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall or the accumulated precipitation for the next 168 hours, for the next 7 days, all the way up to Friday for sure. GFS showing more reds and burgundies, maybe some slight purples. That represents the 2 inch of rainfall range, close to 3 inches. Euro showing something similar. So the main takeaway from this, rainfall is in the forecast, and with already saturated ground, flooding could definitely be a problem for sure. So please ensure that you are on the alert, and you know the drill, turn around, don't drown if you come upon flooded roadways. And we know that if something develops off this system, the next name on the list, considering that we're now experiencing, well, we're almost wrapping up Helene, we're still experiencing Isaac, and we're now experiencing Joyce. We know the next name on the list is Kirk for sure. So there we have it. Kirk is the next name on the list. So hopefully we don't get a Kirk. Hopefully that's just it for the hurricane season that they said would have been very busy with the warm sea surface temperature. But I guess too much of a good thing is bad, because we definitely had the warm waters. We definitely had the La Nina, but I guess it caused more of the tropicals to be coming off across the desert, definitely limiting the chances of more of these systems doing a berry-like path in the southern main development region all the way across like that. And we're indeed grateful for that. No complaint at all. Definitely what we wanted to happen. We don't want any more burials at all at this point. Alright, so let us go back and focus our attention on the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see the line associated with the tropical wave that we just mentioned across the Caribbean, the symbol associated with Joyce, and the tropical wave that has a medium chance of development right there to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out these entities, and I already highlighted them: the tropical wave, Joyce, Isaac, post Helene, and the other tropical wave right here. And we can see that the Caribbean definitely getting in a lot of moisture from this tropical wave as we speak. Even portions of Central America getting in on some usual rainfall for sure. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, September 27. So it was predicted that yes, Friday would have been, a day where we have less rainfall, especially on the south coast where we've been getting that moist southeasterly flow for the past week. So we definitely had less rainfall for sure in some spots, more sunny conditions. Definitely was hot in downtown Kingston in my area where I work, and most of the rainfall was forecasted on the northern and western portion of the island. By the way, we know that the northern side of the island, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? As early as 3:16 p.m., the visible satellite image of Jamaica was posted, and it highlighted clouds bringing some overcast skies, if not some showers and thunderstorms, to portions of, yes, northern and western Jamaica. But we definitely had some of that rainfall across portions of inland areas of some central parishes, as well as some western portions of some eastern parishes, like western Portland, sections of St. Andrew definitely got in on some of the rainfall, northern St. Catherine, southern St. Anne, northern Clarendon, sections of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney for sure got in on the rainfall. And if we actually take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun, we can make out all of this. First of all, we see that low level flow of clouds from east to west, and we can also see the upper level flow of the the high cold clouds being blown off from east to west as well. So both entities are moving in the same direction for sure. The low level flow and the upper level flow. Lots of strong upper level wind shear blowing those high cold cloud tops off towards the west. So everything was in favor of especially the western half of the island getting in on most in the way, if not cloud cover, rainfall today. And unfortunately, I don't have the infrared satellite images to show. They've been having issues all week, glitching out. Don't know what's happening with the website, but we see that it's been glitching out. This is showing what, 16:05 UTC, which I believe is about 11:05 a.m. this morning that it glitched out, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, we have to be dependent on the infrared rainbow satellite images. And if we look at what took place today, we can definitely see that during the afternoon we had the thunderstorms building across especially northern and western Jamaica. Then the high cold cloud tops were being blown off towards the west for sure. So that was definitely what happened. And we can already see the moisture associated with the tropical wave coming in from the east. Some of this rainfall could actually make it into portion of the island tonight from the east for sure, across sections of some eastern parishes. So look out for that. Either way, we can definitely confirm the rainfall that took place here across the island today from some of our followers on our Facebook page. We had Sylvia Bando stating rain in Brownstown, St. Anne now. Island girl Darian Nani stating rain at Rose Hall, Montego Bay. We also had some comments coming in on our Instagram page, sunflower_groceries_ and more. A lovely hour of rain in Montego Bay _ashley.s. Raining like cats and dogs in Mobe and Chovy area. We also have Trecia 3J stating heavy in Montego Bay. The best _Virgo girl _1_n_only_PG stating the rain on and off. 1 minute I see hot sun, next thing place cloudy and rain in a split second. And then finally we have Esja_girl 876 is stating raining in Westmoreland now. Even Alice Miles stating rain with thunder and lightning in Hanover. But we can see that on the Bog Walk cam today showing Flatbridge, we didn't have much in the way for rainfall at all. Even although the water definitely murky for sure, it was definitely dry. This was showing the live camera at about 2:29 p.m. Definitely a bit cloudy in general, but not much in the way for rainfall across that area at all. And if we actually take a look, Let's see if we actually take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall today, especially across northern and western parishes in Jamaica. Section of northern St. Andrew definitely had a follower confirming the rainfall in her area where she works in, I believe, Stony Hill, if I'm not mistaken. Portion of northern St. Catherine, section of Clarendon got in on the rainfall too, so too Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anna got in on that rainfall today for sure. And as relates to what's happening right now, as stated, the infrared satellite images from the Weather Nerd site is done. So I have to be looking at the very latest from the weather.ndc.nasa website, the NASA website showing the latest satellite image. We can see it right there that just came out at 1 UTC, which is actually 8 p.m. That's the latest. Don't see much happening right now. We do see some high cloud tops, maybe some cirrus more than anything else. Some of these clouds right here to the southeast or the east of the island might have some showers within them. Either way, lots of rainfall coming tomorrow. Not seeing much right now. Doesn't mean it can't light up tomorrow for sure. So look out for that rainfall. Tomorrow we can see some thunderstorms lashing portions of the western peninsula of Haiti as we speak, even portions of Cuba right there. If we take a look at the latest Cuban Doppler radar images to match up with what we just saw on the infrared, so it's loading right now. It was showing the latest, that was what, 7:30 p.m. That's actually 6:30 p.m. Jamaica time. But let's see the very latest now as it loads up. It's definitely still loading. All right, here we go. Alright, so it looks like, yep, it looks like it glitched out. Everything glitching out these days. No worries, we can just use the other radars. So this Cuban Doppler radar glitched out at about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 6:30 p.m. Jamaica time, but we do see the rainfall that affected portion of the island today. Western Jamaica, section of southwestern Jamaica got in on the greens. The yellows represent some moderate to heavy rainfall. Some of the rainfall associated with the tropical wave already coming into view from the southeast to the southeast of St. Thomas for sure. Definitely foreboding for what's to come on Saturday. If we take a look at the latest Cuban military radar from the Guantanamo Bay military station, we can definitely make out that moisture that we just saw in the satellite images across portions of the western peninsula of Haiti. The blues, the greens, the yellows represent the light to moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall right there. We can also make out some of that rainfall across portions of Cuba as well. Regarding what's happening on the latest Cayman radar, we can see some of that rainfall off to the west of Jamaica too, just like what we saw on the Cuban Doppler radar. And regarding what's happening right now, we can definitely see a difference with what took place today and what's happening right now. Today the water was definitely still, not seeing much happening, but we can confirm the heavy rainfall that took place upstream that's causing the river to kind of be in spate in a sense right now. Definitely rushing for sure as we speak. People in their vehicles still going about their business. Definitely going to be a dry and a fair night as we just saw on the radar and the satellite as well. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay as well as Kingston. Taking a look here at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18D on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight yellow colors for the most part. That represents up to 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. We know the normal temperatures for the month of September across Jamaica are about the same as 90 degrees Fahrenheit. When calculated, 90 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 32.2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Saturday. If we take a look at the tips to beat the heat, we know the drill already. Stay away from the alcohol, the caffeinated beverages, and please ensure that you eat a lot of fruits. They go a far way to keeping you healthy and hydrated. Can't go wrong with apples, grapes, or watermelon. And keep hydrated by drinking more water than anything else. Even if you're feeling hungry, drink water instead. Trust me. If we take a look here at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can still see that majority of the basin is in the clear. Some of the Saharan dust is starting to push westward, as we can see here. For the past week, it has been confined closer to Africa across the northeastern main development region, but we can see that this is definitely pushing westward, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure right there. We can also see the little swirly kind of pattern to indicate what Joyce is doing, definitely wrapping around and ingesting some of the Saharan dust within her. Definitely going to be limiting the intensity, which explains where the hurricane center status is going to be diminishing or downgrading back to a tropical depression. Who knows, maybe the dust is the reason, or it could just be some wind shear, if I'm not mistaken. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we finally have nothing in the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico, so it makes sense that the lighter shades of blues to slightly darker shades of blues are back. That represents anywhere from 0.5 for meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 or 1 meter wave height. While where we have Joyce, that's where the waters are going to be churning. The purples, the burgundies, that represents anywhere from 2, maybe all the way up to 4 meter wave heights for sure. We can also see the winds that explains these wave heights. We see the bluish greens, the slightly brighter greens as well. Represents anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 knots, maybe even gusting to 20 knots in some spots. We can also see the strong winds in the yellows, maybe in even some slight burgundies in there, if I'm not mistaken. Right there to the north of Joyce for sure, with all of the air spinning around her in a counterclockwise fashion. Either way, the Caribbean gonna be getting in on those 10 to 15 knots for the most in the way of winds for tomorrow. If we take a look at the close-up of Jamaica in terms of where the winds are going to be piling up, look at this. The Euro model has some winds coming in more so from the northeast. Least amount of winds right here on the southern portion of the island. So today we had most of the rain, especially across northwestern Jamaica, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney for sure. Looks like tomorrow is going to be the South Coast day. So sections of St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, Klein and Manchester, St. Elizabeth. These areas are going to be getting the brunt of it for sure, and even portions of Westmoreland. And we need to recognize that it's still September. We're in the peak of our thunderstorm season. So these thunderstorms could definitely be strong. We might see some freak storm-like conditions even more. Tis the month for severe weather. September is the peak of hurricane season as well as the peak of the thunderstorm season in Jamaica, so look out just in case. And this tropical wave seems to be going to be doing some serious business according to what the supercomputer models are showing. And we still see that the upper level winds are going to be coming in from the east, more so from the southeast in a sense, across the island tomorrow. So it's definitely going to be favoring more of the thunderstorms across, especially western Jamaica, the overcast skies. Look out for that. If we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, which is actually 7 a.m. Jamaica time. And we do see the consensus for some blues across, especially Eastern Jamaica, in that period. That represents rainfall for sure. Eastern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrews. So look out for that morning rainfall. We see the consensus, we see the agreement on both the Euro and the GFS models. Skipping ahead now to about 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. We see even more rainfall coming in. Look at this. Eastern, Central, and Western parishes getting in on the rainfall. GFS showing some dark blues in there as well. Some heavy rainfall, even some greens and yellows in there on the Euro. It could be a bad situation. Definitely some flash flooding, some isolated flash flooding could be in store. Even as we head to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 4 p.m. Jamaica time, we'll still see much of the same from east to west across the island. Definitely going to be a wet day for sure. And we see that both the accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS has rainfall all across the island from east to west tomorrow. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. We see Thursday on Sunday here, but it's actually 10 p.m. on Saturday when calculated. And we see the yellows, we see the oranges that we know represent anywhere from 0.3 of an inch all the way up to 0.75 of an inch of rainfall. Even the reds in there that represents more than an inch of rainfall for sure, especially in the GFS here for southwestern Jamaica, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester. Euro showing most of the rainfall across the southeast, especially across western St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew there, southern Clarendon. We'll see how that goes. We see the contrast, we see the differences, and we see the similarities. So look out for the rainfall that is to come. And if we take a look at what's usually expected regarding rainfall, this bar graph at the top is showing the annual rainfall that Kingston receives based on data gathered in 2019. This bar graph at the bottom shows the same but for Montego Bay, and we can see that for the month of September, Montego Bay usually receives almost 7 inches of rainfall. That's almost the same as 175 millimeters of rainfall. Kingston, we usually receive almost 100 millimeters of rainfall. That's almost 4 inches of rainfall. And keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish receives throughout the year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com to find that information out. And you can use this little graphic right here that does the calculations for you. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about 25 millimeters of rainfall based on what we usually see on the rain gauge. So you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have the clouds associated with the tropical wave, bringing some amount of moisture still to portions of the eastern, northeastern Caribbean as well. Sections of northern Venezuela still getting on the usual afternoon thunderstorms, so to Central America. We see that most of Florida starting to clear out in general, still having a lot of moisture associated with post-tropical cyclone Helene across the central US. We have Isaac spinning away right there as a hurricane, and we also have Joyce spinning away right there across the northern portion of the May Development region. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can actually make out some isolated showers as we speak. This is as of 8:20 p.m. Central Daylight Time, showing the greens, the yellows that represent some amount of moisture across the Leeward Islands, in and around the areas, if not some hit or miss isolated showers. If we take a look at what was taking place today, portion of Puerto Rico definitely got in on some amount of rainfall from the eastern end to the western end for sure. If we take a look at what's happening right here on the Barbados radar, we can make out some rainfall to the north of Barbados, to the south of Barbados, some rainfall coming in from the east, some isolated hit or miss showers. Some of this right now affecting portions of Dominica, especially the eastern portion of these islands, Martinique as well, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Section of Grenada could pick up on some of this isolated rainfall, and we can also see some of this rainfall coming in from the east, possible to affect portion of Trinidad and Tobago later on this evening. If we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall right there to the north of northwestern Cuba, some rainfall across portion of Belize, northern Guatemala, section of the Yucatan, sections of Honduras. We can see some rainfall to the east of Nicaragua, some rainfall across portion of Colombia, northwestern Venezuela, rainfall to the north of the ABC Islands associated with that tropical wave that's going to be affecting Jamaica tomorrow. And we can also see some rainfall across portion of northeastern Venezuela too. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, we can definitely make out anywhere where we have the greens, the yellows, all the way up into the oranges. We're talking about anywhere from 0.1 of an inch all the way up to 0.75 of an inch of rainfall. While the red, we know we're talking about an inch of rainfall or more. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus that there's going to be some amount of rainfall, some more for portions of Florida, section of the Yucatan, western Cuba, section of eastern Cuba getting on the action as well. We can also see some rainfall in store, or some isolated showers in general for portion of the Cayman Islands, section of Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic gonna be lashed tomorrow, section of Puerto Rico, section of the Leeward Islands stretching all the way down into portion of the Windward Islands. Even although we see some differences regarding the Windward Island rainfall, Euro showing more rainfall across section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines than what the GFS is showing. Either way, we still see some light greens that represent some isolated shores. Scrolling down, we can actually make out some rainfall across sections of Suriname, French Guyana finally getting in on some rainfall. Section of Guyana too. You can also see Venezuela getting in on the mix. Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula as well. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.